It is never too early to predict/project training camp battles. We're going to do that today. And for the most part, it's going to be on the defensive side of the ball. Offense is pretty much set in stone. We know the offensive line, quarterback, wide receiver order, tight end as well. Everything except for running back. Alexander Mattison, likely the starter, although doesn't knock your socks off with dynamic play, but he's a veteran, he's solid, therefore trustworthy. Everyone's jacked up for the rookie Dwayne McBride, but I think the stage is set for Ty Chandler to show what he's got. Second-year player, more polished than McBride, and if necessary, can be an every down back. You watch his tape from North Carolina, he's got excellent anticipation, vision, and footwork. Ty Chandler is going to have every opportunity to at least force Kevin O'Connell and company's hand to not give Madison the starting job outright. It would not surprise me one bit if at some point 2023, Ty Chandler is the RB1. Of course, if Dalvin Cook manages to remain on the roster, everything I just said, you can throw it in the trash. Going to the defense now. At safety, technically there's going to be a competition between Cam Bynum and Lewis Cine to play opposite of Harrison Smith, which should be nothing more than optics. Cine has to start. He was your first round pick in 2022, missed most of last year due to injury, and even when he was healthy, played primarily special teams. It's time. No more messing around. At cornerback, after Byron Murphy, there's a three-way battle for two spots. Andrew Booth Jr. versus Caleb Evans versus Mekhi Blackmon. I have no idea how this is going to go. Not even a take on how this might go. Obviously, the biggest obstacle for Booth and Evans up to this point is durability. Can you stay healthy? Even more so for Andrew Booth Jr. going back to his collegiate days at Clemson. But with Mekhi Blackmon and his versatility in coverage, it's very enticing for defensive coordinator Brian Flores. The point is, for the Vikings cornerback situation, it gives Minnesota options to work with. At linebacker, I'd like to think that there's going to be competition for Jordan Hicks, but Ivan Pace Jr., to me, he's not ready to be a three-down linebacker. Now, going to the defensive line, Jacalyn Roy. I am rooting for this man like crazy because by far, the defensive line is the weakest unit for the Vikings defense overall. And with the departure of Dalvin Tomlinson to Cleveland, there has to be at least two jobs up for grabs. I think just off coaching alone, the addition of Brian Flores, expecting a jump from 31st to, say, 23rd ranked defense really isn't that far-fetched. But I'm telling you, that defensive line, it's going to be a problem. Jacalyn Roy, he gives you size that you want on the interior, formidable against the run. The idea of your three starting down linemen of being Harrison Phillips, Dean Lowry, and Ross Blacklock scares the hell out of me. And of course, the most anticipated training camp battle of them all, the kickoff competition between Greg Joseph and Jack Podlesny. And this will go beyond training camp for that matter. This will extend into the preseason where every make is going to be a sigh of relief and every miss is going to be a gut punch. Running back, safety, cornerback, defensive tackle, kicker. Are there any other competitions in training camp that you think will go down that I did not cover? Speak on it in the comments section. And speaking of comments, we're going to start this one off with David Goulord. Hear what you're saying and some truth to it, but with that mentality and logic, Ravens should move on from Lamar and cards from Kyler Murray. So this is in reference to me saying that Kirk Cousins won playoff win. The Vikings, they need to move on, search for their next quarterback. I would get it except for the fact that Lamar Jackson is 26 years old. Kyler Murray will be 26 years old at the start of the 2023 season. Kirk Cousins will be 35. Kirk has had 9 extra years to do absolute jack. Let Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray at least catch up before we say, okay, go ahead and replace them. Although, for what it's worth, I don't believe in Kyler Murray at all. Next comment is by Jacob TW. Antonio Brown was cooking defenses at 5'10", so I see no problem with Addison. Yeah, exactly. Great comparison. Antonio Brown, route running, separation, hands, that's all you want baseline from a receiver. Everything else, it's whatever. Antonio Brown, you brought him up. Marvin Harrison, I brought him up. Deshaun Jackson, Steve Smith Sr., That's the new wave of wide receiver. That's why I was never really high on the idea of Quentin Johnston out of TCU. He's a big body receiver, but Jordan Addison's route running is superior, even though he's a smaller guy. I think we had a home run pick with Jordan Addison at pick 23. I was surprised he was available. Thank you again to the Green Bay Packers in part. And lastly, Marcus Harris says, after watching Addison highlights, he reminds me of Diggs. Route game on point, yards after the catch, and catching ability. Nice pickup for the Vikings. I'm not going to go as far as to compare him to Stephon Diggs, not yet anyway, just because, and what you're saying, Marcus, for the most part is right. His route running, yak, hands, all great. But we got to remember something, man. What really separates Diggs from 99% of the league outside of Justin Jefferson is, and those that have been following this channel going back to the days when Stephon Diggs was in Minnesota, and if you remember, I compared Diggs to Antonio Brown, damn it, is the contested catch rate. His ability to consistently catch that 50-50 ball. For the most part, the man would create a gap as wide as the Red Sea between him and the nearest defender. Can't keep up with him. That's where the yards after the catch comes in. But even in tight coverage, where a corner has a good rep on him, he would somehow, some way, always find a way to come down with that football. That's the difference between a really good receiver, a very good wide receiver too, and a superstar. I'm not going to say that yet for Jordan Addison. We'll see.